Hello, welcome to Microfiche Microphone. I'm Micah, and on this channel we look at microfiche from the past or old newspaper articles in the public domain. We look at them with our modern perspective and see what we can learn from them. So on this microfiche time capsule, I'm continuing our series on interesting war items, and this one is from Kansas Farmer, 24th of August, 1918. So let's take a look. We should know the format by now. It's a lot of random stuff, but it's all war related in general. And there's always a little bit of propaganda thrown in there. So don't be offended, it's history. Just take it as history. They're not talking to us today. So, interesting war items. Red Cross men, not slackers. You know what's funny about that is that I actually think of women working for the Red Cross. I think it's because every time I've talked to someone from the Red Cross, it's been a woman. So it's funny to me that there were more men at the time. I imagine that almost all of them working for the Red Cross were men at the time, because women had a narrow amount of jobs that they were allowed to do, although it was getting better at this point. In response to queries from several of the Red Cross divisions regarding the policy of the national organization with respect to the employment of men within the draft age, the acting general manager of the American Red Cross has made the statement that such men are not accepted either for foreign service or for service in camps and cantonments in this country unless they have been placed in Class 5, Section G because of physical disability. And furthermore, unless the disability is visual, so if they're not blind. Yeah, this removes all question as to whether the representatives of the Red Cross should be in the Army, as at a glance it can be seen that they would not be qualified for such service. Wow, really? Okay, well, I take back what I just said. I guess the reason that I think of women working in the Red Cross is because there weren't that many men that were working in the Red Cross, because they expected them to be soldiers. Yeah, so the only men that they accepted of draft age to work there at all had to be Class 5 Section G, which was had different names at different times, but it basically during World War II they called it 4F, I think. It means that you had a physical reason why you can't be a soldier, whether you are in a wheelchair or have some sort of disability of that kind. But they said that they won't accept people also who has a visual disability, which I still think is a little bit discriminatory. I think that people with visual disabilities could do quite a bit still. So with accommodations, of course, but I think someone in a wheelchair would need accommodations too, so what's the difference? You know what I mean? Unless the disability is visual. Like, I think it's a little strange. It's like you can't be blind and work for the Red Cross, but you can have other disabilities. It could be like a mental disability, or if you were born deaf, or, I don't know what all was classified as, at this time, Class 5, Section G. So, that's interesting. Our policy in respect to enrolling such men in division headquarters is as follows, said the acting general manager. The Red Cross has never asked for the exemption of anyone, and does not expect to do so. Therefore, any man so enrolled at division headquarters is nevertheless in all respects subject to the draft. I think that's kind of cool. So they might actually hire them if they weren't in the Army, but that if they got drafted while they were working there, then they would still have to go. Yeah? They wouldn't get an exemption for working for the Red Cross. Protection for war pictures. To safeguard the valuable collection of photographic negatives and the thousands of feet of moving picture films of the present war, the War Department has authorized the building in Washington of fireproof storage vaults. Now that's cool. Fireproof storage vaults is going a little far, but honestly, that is pretty cool, because World War I was one of the first, I think it was the first war where there was any video taken, moving pictures, as they called it. And it had, they took a lot of pictures as well during that time. The first pictures, I believe, was of the Civil War, so it was quite a bit earlier, but they were much more difficult to take, and I don't think there were any pictures of the battles themselves. But in World War I, it was easier to take pictures than it was before, and it was faster, and so they were able to take more action photos of the war. So I've seen some of them, and they're really interesting. Some of them are staged, clearly, but you would kind of expect that too. But a lot of them were not, so the ones that were not I find more interesting. Under the direction of the Historical Division of the General Staff, thousands of still and moving pictures have been taken, both in this country and in Europe, for the purpose of historical record. These have been stored in various places in Washington, as thousands of dollars have already been spent in making the negatives, and many more thousands of pictures are yet to be taken. The need for fireproof storage became manifest. Yeah, okay, I can see that. The vaults will be located in one building, but between them will be built fireproof walls. The doors of the vault will also be fireproof. For the proper preservation of the negatives, the vaults will be so constructed that ventilation and a fairly even temperature will be maintained. That's pretty cool. That's very well thought out. I kind of am happy that that this much is not necessary for what we are taking today, like pictures we have today. Like, you just upload it to the cloud and we are good. Oh dear, we're getting into some racism. So, I apologize for the words. These were words that were acceptable at the time. They were actually the words that were considered most polite. I am not using them as a slur. But maybe I will change it because they use the word Negro. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't feel comfortable using that word, so I think we'll change it to black. How about that? Yeah? So, black nurses for black troops. Orders have been issued by the War Department to the Office of the Surgeon General, which will enable colored nurses, I hate that term too, who have been registered by the American Red Cross to serve their own race in the Army. A total of about 38,000 colored troops are stationed at base hospitals in this country, and colored nurses will be assigned to these hospitals. General Pershing has been asked by cable whether the services of colored nurses can be utilized to advantage among the American Expeditionary Forces. Racism. I'm so glad we have gotten past this, because this is segregation on another level. This is not only are we segregating our troops, but we are also segregating the nurses who are allowed to work on them, to help them. Like, seriously, I wonder, did they allow black nurses to serve the general public, or was this just an exception that they made for the black troops? I sincerely hope it's the second, but I suspect it's the first. It's just a suspicion of mine that black nurses were only allowed to serve. Yeah, is that the right word? To take care of, yeah? To take care of black people. I think that's horrible. It's awful. And it's really dumb. You should be about how good of a nurse you are and not about what color your skin is. It's ridiculous. Okay. Sorry. Try not to get frustrated. It's the past, Micah. It's the past. Past is over. Past is over. Yeah? Must not write to strangers. Because of the danger of inadvertently communicating valuable military information to the enemy, and the necessity of closing every possible gate against enemy propaganda, the strictest attention must be paid to the correspondence of both officers and enlisted men. For this reason, all officers and men have been forbidden by the War Department to insert advertisements or letters in any publication inviting strangers to communicate with them, or to enter into correspondence with strangers in response to advertisements or other invitations. Officers in command of troops are directed not to furnish names of men to any persons who attempt to enter into correspondence with soldiers with whom they are not personally acquainted. Interesting. Was that a thing back then? Like, I guess it was kind of hard sometimes to meet new people, and so people would actually put their address in a newspaper and say, hey, write to me? I guess they do, because there was one that did last time, wasn't there? There was a woman who from France who said that she wanted to correspond with other mothers or something like that. Oh my gosh. So they're saying because of the need to protect military information from the general public, please don't do this. Yeah, I can see that. I could see that being like a major leakage of information. Yeah, that's not a good idea. You are not alone. One of the inspiring items in a column in Dr. Charles M. Sheldon's church calendar headed Something Seen, Heard, and Read by the minister last week is that which follows. Have seen a good many people bearing the burdens of life bravely and quietly. They are beginning to understand that there are others. Your lad is not the only one. You are touching elbows with a world of grief. Misery does not love company, but rightly, born it, learns how to share the load with others. Selfish sorrow is as selfish pleasure. Wait, really? Selfish sorrow is as selfish pleasure. Yeah, I kind of disagree with this. Because there have been times when I haven't shared something bad that has happened because I don't want to bring down another person. On the other hand, are they talking about like sharing things that have gone on with other people who have also experienced similar things? In that case, yeah, I can see that. You know, being open and honest, and you know, that's very much a sign of the times today, but I don't know. It's a little strange. Ointment for gas burns. A neutralizing ointment to protect our soldiers from the mustard gas is now being prepared in quantities greater than the demand for it. The first month's shipment of this ointment consisted of 800,000 tubes. It is a new preparation made after a formula prepared by chemists concocted with the Chemical Welfare Section. Rubbed on the body before a gas attack, it has the power to neutralize the poisonous effects of mustard gas. Well, that's good. For the protection of the special men whose duty it is to clear trenches of all traces of the gas, special underwear is now being provided. These suits are chemically treated and neutralize poisonous gases. I hope they work. That's cool. Men are being thoroughly trained in gas defense so that every soldier who enters the zone of fire thoroughly understands the measures of gas defense. Every man is drilled in the adjustment of his gas mask before he is subjected to a gas test, either here or overseas. That's wonderful. I love this. Like, medical progress is awesome. Yeah. Gas masks protect soldiers. Protection against any of the gases now used by the Germans is given to American soldiers by the masks now being worn. Statements that American masks do not protect soldiers from the effects of mustard gas are not warranted. The masks now worn will protect soldiers as long as they are required to remain in areas drenched by gas. The clothing worn by the soldiers will resist the effects of the gas for a normal period. What's a normal period? Because doesn't it take hours for it to disperse properly? I did know that they sometimes had problems with the gas masks not working properly because they didn't fit everybody's face, I think was the issue. Also, I understood that Hitler, who served in World War I, on the German side obviously, had been attacked by mustard gas, and his issue was that he had a full mustache at the time, not the tiny one he wore later, but a regular sized one, and that it caused his gas mask to not seal properly around his mouth, which meant that he got the full effect of mustard gas, and it took him several weeks to recover. And that is why he cut his mustache off. It was implied in a biography, okay? I'm not sure if that's the actual reason he cut his mustache so short to only be the width of his nose, but that definitely would make sense, wouldn't it? And that's like the beginning of when he had his very distinctive mustache. So I think that's why the rumors went around. If they had any facial hair, they might have had problems getting the mask to fit properly. So, just a little bit of random trivia for you. Age limits in new draft. Regarding age limits of the new draft, Secretary Baker says in a press interview, all the possible combinations of age limits were carefully studied. Combinations? Okay, and it was found that in order to get the men into Class 1 for the program proposed, 18 to 45 was necessary. The bill, when introduced, however, will contain a provision authorizing the President to call men out of Class 1 by classes, according to ages, so that if it is found possible, the men between 18 and 19 will be called out later than the older men who are found eligible to Class 1. I'm not sure what to say to that because was there ever a different time when the draft? Like a different age group? I know they've gone higher than 45, but have they ever gone under 18? I mean, not to my knowledge. Have they ever been over 18, though? Is there like a 21 to like 50 or something? Like, I don't understand really why this was... Was this new, is my question. Was this new? What was the reason? You know, I'm going to look it up real quick. I hope this doesn't take long. Present, the U.S. currently operates under an all-volunteer armed forces policy, and all male citizens between the ages of 18 and 26 are required to register for the draft and are liable for training and service until the age of 35. That's a lot younger than this one. Oh yeah, they have all sorts of times. So, let's see. I'm skipping ahead. 1917. Register men between the ages of 21 and 30. Yeah, but that's not what I just read. What we read was between 18 and 45. During the first drawing, 50,000 men applied for exemptions and over 250,000 failed to register at all. In one roundup held in New York City in 1918 to catch those who failed to report, 16,000 men are arrested. Jeez. After the war ends, efforts to set up standard military training and service are defeated in Congress. Yeah. And then starting in 1920, it was voluntary again. 1898, Spanish-American War. Congress declares that all males between 18 and 45 are subject to military duty. Huh. Because this article was from August of 1918, which is after the May 1917, which is what I'm reading, with between 21 and 30. So, is this not current? Is this like something that was given like with old information? Because that is very interesting. So it sounds like it changed and then it went back? Yeah, or was this not official? That's the other thing, other possibility. This is in Kansas Farmer. Maybe it was a state law. Yeah? Secretary Baker says in a press interview, who the flip is that anyway? Newton D. Baker, Secretary of War. No, that was national. It wasn't statewide. Anyway, so that completely contradicts what else I'm seeing, but hey, I guess you can't argue too much with it. Oh man. So it's a lot of like random stuff here. I feel like there's more about health and about fitness in general, like age limits and like disability for working with the Red Cross. Anyways, so Microfiche time capsule. It's very interesting. I feel like we could have done without the racism, but other than that, I found it very interesting. And I hope you enjoyed it too. Please join us for the next one. And please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to say that. And I hope to see you in the next video.